welcome to the Bad Tutors podcast. If you are here for the newest, up-to-date, accurate information on the nerdy topics that are near and dear to your heart, then let me tell you, you ended up in the wrong place. But here we are all about hot takes, grandiose displays of misinformation, so stick along for the ride, and you might blow a blood vessel or two. So today, I will be taking us through Golarion, the world of Pathfinder. We're going to start after the events of something called Earthfall. Now, Ian, Earthfall is very prominent to our current Pathfinder campaign that Brum is running for us, it seems. And so for you and our friends that are in the game that might be listening to this episode, I have specifically left out some information that I discovered while researching that I think might be a reveal in our story. And because of that, it is going to be a perfectly vague and also concise summary of what happened with Earthfall.
Sounds good.
The other thing about that is that a lot of the information about Earthfall comes from different adventure paths. So in order to avoid spoiling for any listeners and myself, as we occasionally do go through a adventure path, we're just going to be starting after Earthfall. But to briefly explain what it is, they're early days of Golarion. There are like two big empires. This would be the Aslanti Empire and Thassalon. So before we get too into detail about it, I will say Aslanti was in a continent called Aslant, which is gone. And Thassalon is where modern-day Varisia is. These empires were immensely strong, technologically advanced, magically advanced, and extremely prideful. Because of this pride, Earthfall happened. One of these empires, I won't say which, pissed off an alien race. And this alien race is actually the one that was responsible for pulling humans up into a more technological society. And so, as a punishment, the aliens were like, fuck you guys, and they chucked a planet at Golarion.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Golarion was on path to be destroyed entirely, and the only reason why the world survived was because of the sacrifice of two separate gods. I'm not going to give their names. I'm not going to give how they defended the world, although it's really fucking cool. But basically, in one way or another, the planet that was on course to collide with Golarion was decimated. But the shards and now meteors struck the planet and were destructive enough to basically cause the downfall of these empires. And in addition to that, there was a age of darkness that sort of lasted for a very long time. So after the events of Earthfall, we have the geography that we recognize today for Golarion. Like I said, there once was a continent of Aslant, and I'm not going to explain where it was for spoilers.
So just pulling, I think I'm just pulling it based off the name. Is that meant to be like modeled off of Atlantis, or am I just pulling the name and sunken continent too far together?
I don't have a great answer for you. I think there's definitely similarities between it being a lost civilization and now no longer being there for one reason or another. And also, I think if I were to speculate on an answer for this, I would be using information that would be a spoiler.
That's fair. That makes sense.
So I'm just going to bite my tongue here. But now let's go into the more modern Golarion. And now all of this information that I've used is set for Pathfinder First Edition, because this is what we're familiar with. This is the history that we play in. Pathfinder Second Edition changes a lot, and it's a completely new time period for the world.
Yep.
Obviously. But in First Edition, Golarion has many different countries. I think it has over 20 adventure paths, and even more just small, like little splat adventures is what they're called, because they were released in like a magazine issue or something like that. So the regions that I'm going to be covering today have very specific reasons why I'm going to be covering them. I'm going to talk about Assyrian. I am going to talk about Cheliax. I'm going to talk about Ustalav, and because you run a game in Ustalav, if you have anything that you want to add in about it that I've missed, you can certainly do so. I'm going to talk about the River Kingdoms very briefly. I'll talk about Varizia probably more than any other region. I'll touch on Irisin, and I'll touch on the Shackles. The reason why I picked these is because these are regions where some of the biggest adventure paths take place. These are the ones that are renowned by the community as the best. So in Assyrian, you have Mummy's Mask. In Cheliax, you have Council of Thieves. In Ustalav, we have Carrion Crown, the game that you're running for us. The River Kingdoms is kind of it's kind of where Pathfinder Kingmaker takes place. I'll get into that a little bit more. Varizia has a bunch of them.
Yep.
Rise of the Rune Lords, Return of the Rune Lords, and the one in between. It's got Curse of the Crimson Throne, which takes place in a single city called Gorvosa. Irisin is where Reign of Winter takes place for the majority. And then the Shackles has...
I'd say I think
Skulls
Skulls and Shackles. I always get confused whether or not that's just like another rules book or an AP in and of itself.
Right.
Because it just introduced...
Well, I think it actually kind of functions as
Yeah,
both.
because it had to introduce like water combat, basically, or boat combat, more specifically, I should say.
So we'll start with Assyrian. Now, Assyrian is a desert nation, and it is on the southern coast of what is the Inner Sea. The Inner Sea on the southern coast is desert, and then north of the Inner Sea is where Cheliax lies. Assyrian was a sort of great early nation post-Earthfall. I have a pre-Earthfall written down here, but it's actually post-Earthfall that this nation like really rose into power and grandness with through like commerce and trade. This is where like a lot of roads sort of it was sort of like a every road leads to Rome situation. Every road was into Assyrian in the beginning of rebuilding human empires. There was not a whole lot of civilized society outside of this area being the Inner Sea, like Assyrian and Cheliax. So Assyrian is your Egyptian, Mesopotamia, Middle Eastern setting, and like this, actually, like this entire area known as the Golden Road is where you would find like these cultures represented in Pathfinder. Pathfinder draws a lot from real world cultures, as I think a lot of great fantasy worlds do. It's always good to have things that you can tie to reality or you can identify with in your worlds. And the adventure paths that are set in this region are much what you expect. The one in this region is Mummy's Mask. Pretty much, without going too much into spoiler territory, it is a big dungeon delving adventure path. Lots of ancient lost magics, artifacts, stuff like that.
Yeah, from what our DM has told me about that one, the whole beginning is like you're in a competition to see who can delve into the next tomb first. They like reopen some closed off district of the city that holds a bunch of tombs and things, and you get to go find all of your relics and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which sounds absolutely sick. That sounds like a very fun adventure path.
And a lot of this stuff comes from the fact that this was one of the first civilizations that sort of swelled up to greatness post Earthfall, and then as it reached that decline, people condensed a lot more into areas. And the other thing is that it's a desert nation, so there's only so many places that a society can sort of inhabit in these locations, like oases and stuff like that. And you see that much the same here. Oases and coastal cities is where the majority of the populations are centered. Next, we go to Cheliax, which is everybody's favorite little demon simps.
Yep.
But they didn't start off that way, actually. They were less totalitarian as they are now. Not so much, obviously, the bad guy. But they were a conquering empire. I would compare them to Rome because at their strongest, they covered the entirety of the area north of the Inner Sea. They controlled what is now like Nermathus and Lastwall, and they even went as far as Corvosa and Varesia. But then, as we see with the empires of Golarion, they rise and fall, and Cheliax fell when a family that worships the literal Lord of Hell, Asmodeus, took control.
That'll do it.
And because of that, there's like this weird dichotomy where it's a totalitarian rule, but society is kind of just anarchy where demons and devils are existing freely in society there, and it's like, hey guys, what the fuck's going on here, sort of thing. And the citizens within Cheliax are oppressed. They are hunted for slavery. I think it's halflings. Yeah, it's halflings that are slaves in Cheliax.
I mean, halflings have had it too good for too long. It's about time, honestly.
Stop. That's no.
Just a little.
No,
they're scouring the Shire. It's fine.
No. But what is interesting? So you have Council of Thieves here, which is a very political campaign. You also have these sort of dueling adventure paths, where one of them is you're beginning a rebellion in the northwest region of Cheliax, and the other one in the capital you are quelling a rebellion. And it's that adventure path actually where Anti-Paladin comes from as
really?
a player
That's
option. Yeah. Yeah, it's an adventure path where you're allowed to be expected to be evil, actually. But now we are going to move northeast of the Inner Sea, and we're going to move to
Right before that, also, Cheliax is I'm correct in saying that that's where a very contentious topic in our play group has come from, of Razmir being in charge of Chiliax, right? Or do I have that wrong?
That is Brum's homebrew.
Oh,
So
is it?
Razmir
Okay.
is actually east of Ustalav,
Oh, all right, all right.
his nation.
Gotcha.
But our DM has set us, what is it, like 200, 300 years in the future of where
Yeah.
our last game, Rise of the Rune Lords,
Yep,
ended.
that sounds about right.
And I don't want to speak too much on his
Of
story,
course.
without sounding like an ass, but Razmir has become incredibly powerful. He is me and Ian's favorite god, because he is actually just a wizard that is level 19. And that is not necessarily true in our DM's writing. He may have ascended, we're not sure. But in Pathfinder First Edition canon, he is either level 18 or level 19 wizard who has just convinced enough people through his feats of powerful magic that he is a god.
Which is just, it's just so great. I love it so much.
Hey, listen, the fact that wizards can bend reality to the point where they are basically accepted as gods is not an indication that they are in overpowered class or
No,
anything.
no, certainly not.
I mean, sorcerers can do it too.
Yeah,
They have the same spell
they
list.
do.
So, I mean, checkmate to that.
But they don't have to.
argument.
They don't have to work for it in the same way. You got to put in the hours to be a level 18 wizard. You gotta just.
That's
You
true.
just gotta have
That's
someone
true.
fuck a dragon a couple generations back to be a good sorcerer.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so you're saying there's even less pride to being a sorcerer.
I would say so. Yeah, I feel like I'd stand behind that. There isn't no pride, but it's a lot more.
I felt like your stance was sorcerer is better than wizard. Is that just because prepared caster versus spontaneous in
Yeah,
Pathfinder?
it's just that. That's the only
Okay.
reason. I just don't like prepared casting.
You don't want to have a competition with your character to see who has a bigger spellbook?
No,
A bigger physical
No,
spellbook?
that
was
sounds-
the funnest part about playing
that
my
sounds
wizard.
awful. I don't want to have to. I don't
Both
want to
of
have to
them.
write down my spells every day. It's spontaneous
That's amazing.
spontaneous casting for life. I'll stand by it.
I will say, if my current character dies, I will be playing a spontaneous caster for the first time.
Yeah, like ever.
And I'm terrified.
Man, that's an interesting rogue that you have planned. Wild.
He's not a rogue.
Oh, sorry, druid for 2 sessions, and then we'll see.
Fuck off.
So Ustalav.
God, Pathfinder druid. Yes, Ustalav. Yeah, I'll say my part on this, and then I'll let you give your take, because I am very much coming from a player. I didn't look at this at all in terms of research, because everything comes from the adventure path that we're playing in. So this is everything that I've got from your
Yeah, so you're gonna see a fun
So-
look into my mind of how little I actually know about Ustalav and all
You're
of
just
the
like,
history
"Fuck,
of it.
we'll figure
I,
it out."
I know the
yeah.
adventure path, not the history.
Yeah. So it is east of Varisia, west of the River Kingdoms, and northeast of Cheliax. And it was once controlled by an evil lich lord, who I will only call the Whispering Tyrant, because I'm not confident in pronouncing Zan Kuthan or whatever. it is.
I've always just gone with, if it is the correct one, Tarbafon is how I've always said
Oh,
it.
Carbafon. Oh, Zan Kuthan is a
Yes,
god.
Tarbafon
I
is the
believe.
Whispering Tyrant.
Yes, okay. See, exactly. Not even confident. I took a shot in the dark. All right. So, as a player, this place is you can just tell. Just every description that you give is desolate and filled with despair. It really feels like civilization is existing in spite of the entirety of the region. You have vampires, you have werewolves, you have undead menaces and secret societies, you have a history of serial killers, ghosts, spirits, and other less desirable members of a society. Things that prey on society itself is really tough to, contend with, and they're all over the place in this region. For anybody that knows Magic the Gathering, this is very much like the Plane of Innistrad. Every city seems to be a bastion of humanity that is standing out against the nature of this region itself, and all of them have tendrils of evil, sin, fear just gripping the population into a sort of paralysis. The roads are dangerous, the woods are dangerous, the people in the city sometimes are dangerous. Unassuming things at one point just turn around and kill you. And this is where Carrion Crown takes place, which has been described as a horror adventure path. And I think rightfully so.
Yeah, it's for the non-Magic the Gathering people or 5e people, it's either, I've always thought of it as either Dracula's Transylvania, to put it into like the most high terms of just, it's a spooky place with bad things, or it's incredibly similar to Barovia in Curse of Strahd. Those are like the real good comparisons. It's like they're named something else, but it's all basically the same thing when it comes down to it.
Yeah, and I think the sun probably does shine in Ustalav, but when I'm playing as Irwin, my character in your game, there's never sunlight that touches his skin.
There's always at least even clouds.
It just feels like the most depressing, dreadful, like the worst place to sort of exist in Golarion, which might be a stretch to say, because I did just talk about slavery and the demon capital and Jeliax. But I think I can stand by that statement. It's just like, in terms of just existing, Ustalav is pretty bad, because it's tough there.
Yep, I completely agree. To throw in the bits that I do know, as we are currently going through in Carrion Crown Book 4, this actually introduces Call of Cthulhu canon into the Pathfinder universe. I actually just showed Tyler, luckily it's not a spoiler for the game, in Book 4 of Carrion Crown, there is a stat block for a star spawn of Cthulhu at CR 20, which is just absolutely fucking wacky. All of the Call of Cthulhu canon being pulled in, they actually worked with the actual Call of Cthulhu people. It was like a joint effort to write this book. So it's like, not only do you have your standard werewolf, vampire, undead menaces to contend with, you also have the outer world gods and outer world Lovecraftian horrors to contend with as well. It really is just a shit place to live in. You're simply subsisting. The only people really prospering are the aristocracy, who have gone through a number of petty civil wars about, just your standard aristocracy bullshit of you have my land or you have more money.
Yeah, land feuds.
Let's ruin all of our citizens' lives because we want that extra 5,000 gold coming in every week. When every farmer is making fucking 10 silver a year. Like, it's a shit place to live. You don't want to be there. You're born there, and then you don't have the money to leave. So you're you're just kind of in Ustalav. It's not a great place. A lot of ghosts, a lot of hauntings. It's not fun. But it's a real fun setting to play in. It's technically my third time running through Carrion Crown at this point, even though
that's true. You've never gotten to the Lovecraft.
No, this is my first time through.
We're not there.
Yeah, my first group.
And it's terrifying.
My first group through got almost through the second book. When I ran it for you guys and our normal D&D crew, we got all of 2 sessions in, where 2 Weirdwood players made it nigh impossible to make progress in the story whatsoever. And now we're finally in
Their
book 4.
their concept was
It
heartfelt
was.
and inspired, truly.
In in a
Uh,
one shot, I want them to bring it back very badly because it's absolutely hilarious and I loved it. But trying to run a story with two player characters who do not understand anything in the mortal world and their way of figuring it out is breaking everything around them and just sowing chaos. Don't get me wrong, very Ustalov, very in theme, but also absolutely impossible to run for.
the uh, the words that I remember them describing it as is a newborn with an intelligence of 20.
Yep.
So everything had to be tested. Everything, they didn't understand the reality around them as they were born into sentience.
Yeah, this glass bottle containing liquids, that's new, that's unheard of. How do we figure out how it works? Well, we throw it on the ground and we break it. And then we analyze how it broke. Oh, what do you mean that was alchemist fire? What do you mean half the town is burned down? Interesting stuff.
They
but
the two that played this are also the two that could just take that theme
and
and use it to break somebody in much the way that I think they did you, where they took like 20-minute conversations about a vial of water and they're having the most fun, and then the other players at the DM are like,
can we do literally anything
yeah.
else? How about you two?
yeah, but our friend just died.
Yeah, how about you two hop into a different voice channel and you guys
Yeah,
have this
exactly.
discussion.
Jerk off about this vial of
When
water.
you're done with it, please come back and give us the cliff notes. We want to hear them, but like there is story we need to accomplish. Every session can't have an hour and a half of that conversation.
Also, we love you guys, and we're actually recording this on one of your birthdays.
We actually
so
are. Happy birthday.
Let's go to the river.
Yeah, for sure. Talk about some Kingmaker.
Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty short on this one. The main reason why I want to mention this is I want to say in my heart that Kingmaker is now the most popular adventure path because it was made into a CRPG.
Two
I don't
of
know
them.
if the most. Well, so
Oh no, the other one
Kingmaker is the
yeah.
first one, and then Wrath of the
Right,
Righteous,
right.
which takes place north of this area, is the second one. I don't know if Kingmaker is played as much on paper, much because it's political, it's exploration, and it's sandboxy, which is every player's dream and every DM's Everest. In the best way, much like our Starfinder game that we ran for a little over a year. I think you would agree there can be hiccups,
Yeah.
but when everybody's focused on achieving the same sort of thing, and you are communicative with your DM in what that thing is, it can be a really fun time.
Yeah, it's not one where you can have a hidden agenda, but like you need to be at least communicating that with your DM, otherwise it's simply not going to happen. Like you have to be clear of what you want to do.
Yeah, so Kingmaker is set in the River Kingdoms and also starts in like the surrounding areas. Basically, the way I understand it is you are sponsored by the neighboring kingdoms to go set up a kingdom. And you're setting up a kingdom in the area known as the Stolen Lands. You build your own kingdom, you manage a kingdom, which is fun for some people, dreadful for other people. And this is all just from online discourse that I've seen. And then towards the end of the story, it seems like there's a much more large problem that you get hints through. But yeah, I think the main reason why I want to mention this area of the world is because this is where the CRPG, the computer role-playing game, takes place for Pathfinder Kingmaker. And then Wrath of the Righteous takes place north of this area, in an area, I think it's called, the World Wound, and around there in like Numeria. But the area around the River Kingdoms, like Brevoy is a nation that sponsors you, or can be like an ally to you. There's Ustalov, Resmirin.
Yeah, I'd say I'm looking at the map and Rezmir
is right
in
there. Yeah, and then there's Numeria too. So like that's the surrounding area. This, in terms of like geologically, is like because it is sort of based around like a feudal Europe. The geography is very similar to like a France or Germany or like Western mainland Europe sort of area. Very cool adventure path from what I've heard. So moving past the River Kingdoms, let's talk about Varizia, our beloved home when it comes to Pathfinder, or at least that's the way that I think of it.
I agree.
Yeah, so we played Rise of the Rune Lords. We played that game for like 2.5, almost 3 years, right?
I think 3.5. I think it was longer than that.
It could very well.
In
could
fairness,
be, yeah.
we had like a 3 or 4 month period where we didn't play when we were
around the holidays.
Yeah,
one year,
holidays
right?
and transitioning out of college is when we like kind of took a break and then picked it up back in the summer.
Yeah, I do remember.
So there was that contributing, but so probably around just
spent
under,
a lot of time
just
in
under
Varizia.
3 years realistically without that break, and then we also returned to it for simply too much time in our current campaign as well.
Yeah, that's so funny. Anyways.
Hey, our navigator lost his way. It's fine.
Yes. Varizia was once known as Thassalon. That is one of the ancient empires that I talked about earlier. It was ruled over by these people known as the Rune Lords, and each Rune Lord is associated with with one of the 7 deadly sins. And then what Pathfinder did is they tied each of those sins to one of the schools of magic, with the exception of divination, and I think technically I should include universalism, because that is a choice that you can make as a wizard, and also there is 2 spells in the universal school. But eventually Thassalon fell for some reason, probably Earthfall, but it could also be for another reason. And the Rune Lords disappeared. Who
knows if they will rise? Who's to say? Who's
knows?
To say?
Was that the last adventure path released for first edition?
It was. It may have been.
It was.
But like we said,
so it starts with
to say?
Return, or it starts with Rise and ends with Return. And there's also another. There's one in between them that I can't remember the name of, but in between those 2 adventure paths, there's one that like bridges the gap between the 2. But as civilization returned and we get to modern day Varizia, it is sort of a city-state structure, with sort of these big cities sort of governing the smaller ones, or like the villages on the outskirts. So you have like Riddleport, Magnamar, and Corvosa. Those are the big ones, and they also have adventures set within them, so they're the most fleshed out. Or they're a key location for the adventure path. It's not necessarily that it's set there, but it is a key location. In general, Varizia has a Mediterranean style culture, and that is very simplifying the Mediterranean culture into sort of a couple big cultures that they take from, and it's just the way that Varizia is laid out. All of the big city states are on the coast or near the coast. and a lot of the ethnic groups and the naming structures of those groups or the cities take inspiration from these cultures, like Spain, Italy, Greece, the surrounding areas as well. I think you have a sort of Romani-esque people, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, I believe so.
I am going to touch on Varizia is sort of like it's interesting. The most adventure paths are set in Varizia in terms of regions and countries, and the way that the civilization works is it's like literal pockets of civilization, like Riddleport, Magmar, and Corvosa, and then there is like areas of wilderness and stuff like that between them. There is also a large mountain range to the north, which may have dwarfs in it, or that could be our GM's insert and his love of the dwarven race and all of fantasy.
True.
The old Thassalon was also divided into these sort of city-states, a region of Varizia going to each Rune Lord, and I guess to each sin. And Rune Lords were basically just very evil wizards that were sort of tyrants in their own rights. But, you know, maybe they weren't that bad, right? Is it really that bad to, like, be friends with a Rune Lord or, like, have one
in your brain?
In your brain, and then, like,
put yourself into a book and make them your body?
Yeah, like, is it the worst thing to let a Rune Lord possess you? Is, I guess, the question that I'm asking.
That's debatable.
If they are a lord that was dethroned and is seeking to gain power again, and definitely they were evil, would that be like the worst thing?
I don't quite see anything wrong with that personally. No, I think that'd be fine.
Okay, I think I agree. Actually, 100%. I will say, Rise of the Rune Lords was a great adventure path, just in terms of story. Obviously, the people that you play it with matters.
Very
but
influential.
The story and the plot in itself, I think, could work with many groups. But
I kind of want to call it basic in a good way. Of like, there's a lot of depth to it, and there's some very good story beats, but it is kind of a standard like good versus evil type of story in a way. Not that there's anything wrong with that at all, but like, it's not the most like, oh my god, this is revolutionary in the world of storytelling, but every single part of it is done very well and very well handled.
Yeah, I mean, you're the heroes.
Exactly.
Right? But yeah, in efforts of keeping this episode short, we should get off of Varizia and our characters that we love so much. And let's just briefly touch on Earson and the Shackles, because I don't have too much to say about these places besides just some fun things.
Some kind of quirky info on these two.
Certainly on Earson. So Earson is way to the north of Varizia. Basically, Arctic Circle of real world. And it is a frozen country that is ruled by witches that are either descendants or chosen by Baba Yaga. Every 100 years, she returns and chooses a new leader. Super cool setting. I think if I were to do a homebrew, I think it would be in Earson.
It's a very cool place. I played for a good 6 months or so of playing Reign of Winter and getting into that, and it's a very cool continent to dive into. Or country, not continent.
Yes. So there's like the whole witch thing going on. There's a subculture of the people that were originally there before Baba Yaga and all of her witches, which are called white witches. They're a subculture of like the Scandinavian and the Viking sort of inspired culture. that sort of coexists alongside the witches and the people under the witches' rule. And then I'd like to introduce my favorite fact about Yersin. I think it's also your favorite fact because holy fuck is this funny. But there is a slight spoiler for Reign of Winter. In the, I think it's the 5th book of Reign of Winter, there are events that involve the very real historical figure named Rasputin. And by the conclusion of Reign of Winter, the secret daughter of Tsarina Alexandra and Rasputin is put on the throne. Her name is Anastasia Nikolaevna. And because of this, because they did this, and Rasputin is in the game, and he is canonically a child of Baba Yaga within Pathfinder, that also makes Earth canon. Because if you go to the Pathfinder wiki and you look at Anastasia Nikolaevna, she's from Russia. So Earth, our reality, is canon in Pathfinder.
To take it a step further with another layer of spoiler on top of it, so skip this if you intend on playing Reign of Winter. Not only is it canon because of that, you canonically go to World War I Russia. If you look in the Pathfinder equipment, you can find an M1419 grenade as a piece of equipment. You are canonically in Earth and you fight Rasputin. I mean, and that's only so much of a spoiler because the name of that book is Rasputin Must Die, and you fight him in real life World War I Russia. So
it's pretty cool.
So along with Call of Cthulhu being canon in Pathfinder, so is Earth. Earth is canon, which has always led me to wonder if this is some kind of a continuation of Earth, or they are on somewhat separate planes in time, as there is time skipping in other adventure paths. So I've always wondered if that actually ties into it or not.
I would go more so to the fact that Earth is another plane of existence outside of the material plane.
Okay, gotcha.
Without having read the books or played it, I don't have the answer that Pathfinder provides.
Right.
But I would assume that you plane shift there or something similar. And then, just as an aside, Anastasia Nikolaevna Romanova was a real person in history. She was the last child of Tsar Nicholas II of Russia. She lived to the age of 17 until she was assassinated. And we are not trying to erase a person by calling her a character in a TTRPG. We're also not trying to weigh in on any political opinion on this young woman. But it is very fun to include this part of Pathfinder lore because the implications are, like we said, immense.
But also diving into our political opinions on the topic.
Stop. We are not. No. No.
Hey,
we're brushing past that.
I've watched Oversimplified.
I want to talk about pirates.
I'm qualified to talk about it.
I want to talk about pirates. I always want to talk about pirates.
That's true. You do always want to talk about pirates.
The shackles. I also purposefully left this area vague because from what I understand, our DM pulled a lot of information from this campaign to give us this homebrew world that he's sort of using. It is an area of islands that have pretty much two adventure paths that take place. One of them is more Indiana Jones-esque in terms of like delving ancient ruins, looking for artifacts, uncovering lost mysteries. And the others is Skull and Shackles, which is a pirate theme adventure. It's based around exploring. There's a political aspect in terms of your crew. There's naval combat that is introduced. Good old swashbuckling, sailing around the area. And like I said earlier, this is where the continent of Aslant was before it got absolutely fucking owned by those aliens that threw a planet at it
Yep.
in Earthfall. This is the southwest area in terms of relation to the Inner Sea. So that's the Shackles. It's a group of islands. There's also like a big swirling constant storm there, you know. Just like classic pirate setting. If you want to run a pirate campaign, you should probably pick up this book or find it online somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But now we get to close the episode with our favorite topic of recent times.
I would like to say, rest in peace, the Jade Regent. Tyler didn't find it important enough to cover because it's the adventure path.
Like I
simply
said,
isn't very
like
good.
I said, we're scratching the surface. I think that area is going to be explored way more in second edition Pathfinder.
Which is good. It should be.
It's good.
It seems
It should
interesting,
be.
but it turns out Weeby Goblins takes place there. It looks like that's fun.
And the Jade Regent.
Yeah, I'm on the Jade
That's so
Regent
funny.
adventure path, and the related publications are Weeby Goblins. But from what
That's
I've
so
heard,
funny.
unfortunately, the adventure path isn't bad just compared to some of the absolutely spectacular adventure paths. That one's just a little mid, so it gets ignored a little bit,
I
unfortunately.
think the flavor of it too was very foreign to Pathfinder when it first got released.
It really
of,
was.
like, Eastern weapons,
Mhm.
Eastern, East Asian influence and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not something that's like super prominent in typical TTRPG fantasy,
Right.
like D&D and stuff. So, it probably wasn't received very well for that reason as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Let's talk about wizards.
We have to, yeah.
Not the class. I
He could talk about wizards
go on
forever,
about the class, but I got to talk about Wizards of the Coast. So they a little while ago, they released sort of an updated open gaming license on D&D, 5th edition D&D. What is the next one going to be called?
I believe 1 D&D or D&D 1. Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah. Basically, Wizards of the Coast and their parent company Hasbro sort of made a stance about the homebrew and supplemental resource community that surrounds 5th edition and thrives. If you think about source books that are written to be played in 5th edition, alongside 5th edition rules and stuff like that, Wizards released something that said, in the future, after you make a certain amount of money using their property, their rules and stuff like that, they would get a cut of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've seen the Legal Eagle
Yep.
YouTube episode on this.
course.
I want to reference that because it seems like in his episode, maybe all of this stuff that they were talking about was maybe not so bad, because it seems like you can't copyright the actual rules of a game.
Yeah, you can more copyright the thing. So in your...
Yeah, the characters, the world,
Mhm.
yeah.
You can't use the Tarask, but you can call it the Marask and use all of the same stats because they can't copyright something like that.
Yes. But I will say, I think the community was right in their outrage and their blatant disregard for the community's opinions and on stuff like this. And it was disrespectful for them to try and just get more money out of the community. And this goes along with everything that's been happening in Magic the Gathering, which we haven't talked about. But the 30th anniversary of Magic the Gathering was the biggest like
Just
fuck you to the
slap
community
in
I've
the
ever
face,
seen.
Yeah.
The premiere product was a reprint of beta, limited beta, with a couple cards removed because they're insensitive and from a different time, and they're not real game pieces, and they were sold at $1,000 a box, or
Yep.
fucking ridiculous for 4 packs.
4 packs to maybe get the overpowered cards, but probably not. And even if you do, they're not legal anyways.
Yeah, and pretty much the response was, this product might not be for you if the price tag scares you away.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, what? How are you releasing products for your community that's not for the entirety of the community? Just because, one, people are upset that you're printing what is essentially a proxy and selling it at $1,000.
Yep.
Again, the community was right to be upset about that.
And I will say, I'm not sure how much Wizards themselves, as much as I will take every opportunity I have to shit on Wizards of the Coast, I don't know how much they were at play on this versus Hasbro, because I've heard that in some of the board meetings at Hasbro, they kind of realized that both Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons make up around 50% of their overall profits, and a lot of the board members went, wait, why aren't we monetizing this like we've monetized our other big properties, which are pretty much G.I. Joe, Transformers, and My Little Pony are like their other like really big 3 profitable ones. And they went, why haven't we been doing this here? And then they went, well, let's fucking start. So they went, let's get as much money as we can. So I don't know how much of this comes from Wizards specifically or Hasbro going, you need to be making more than 50% of our annual revenue.
Yeah, I think Wizards might have their hands tied here.
Yeah.
In some aspects. But still...
Yeah, not to absolve them of
some,
sin, certainly. I'm sure the Wizards board wants more money advocacy. As well.
Yeah, there could be some community advocacy going on from Wizards that there just certainly is not. So
yeah.
With that out of the way, I think if you're upset by that and you're like, do I even want to play 5th editions anymore? Do I want to buy any of the new books? Or I want to play D&D 1 or 1 D&D or whatever the fuck? D&D all will be 1 for Exia Returns. I think Pathfinder 1st edition is daunting. It is certainly a dictionary of rule book.
We get into a lot of discussion over some strange rules in my current Carrion Crown campaign, certainly.
Certainly, yes. And I think it can be a little bit intimidating, but it is absolutely worth it. The world is just as written out as Forgotten Realms, if not more so.
They've had more time. It's existed for a longer time than 5th edition has, so they've had time to get everything really solidified and put in good lore and really build everything out.
And I think if 1st edition is not something that you feasibly want to undertake, which is, as much as I hate to say, understandable, I think what you could do is play 2nd edition. From everything that I've heard, they've made great changes to 2nd edition since releasing it, and it has that sort of character customization and great rules that 1st edition has that we love.
Yeah, if you don't want to go into the full number crunch of Pathfinder, which is, as you said, daunting at first, isn't realistically as bad as we make it out. Once you figure out how to build a character, it's really not that bad. Getting your numbers is a pain, but once your numbers are there, they're there, and they're not really changing all that much. But 2nd edition really streamlined everything. A bit too much in my opinion, but I have also heard a lot more praise for 2nd edition since I basically beta tested it at Gen Con a couple years ago.
Right. Yeah, so if for whatever reason you think, I can't play Dungeons and Dragons anymore, I'll never buy a Wizards product again, which I'm not saying you should or shouldn't do. I'm certainly going to keep buying Magic the Gathering, at least singles, and keep playing it.
Yeah.
You can still play 5th edition. Nobody's going to come and tell you that it's wrong to play 5th edition if that rule set really sticks with you. I just think there has been discussion, at least among like some of my friends, that they don't want to touch 5th edition again. They don't want to run it. They don't want to play in it. They just feel like it's, at this point, they feel like it's a money grab, and I can't really tell them that they're wrong for that opinion. So if that's the opinion that you have and you feel like it's a little gross, here's Pathfinder. Here's a very brief scratch at the surface of the world of Pathfinder.
Yep. And one of the big, very brain-dead takes that we discussed at some point is, especially with playing 5th edition, if you don't want to buy any more books, that's fine. But I've seen people like, I'm throwing out all of my 5th edition books, I'm done with this. That's stupid and fucking brain dead. Is it a money grab? Yes. But your money
Certainly
has been grabbed. They're not getting more money for you having your core rulebook. Keep playing it if you enjoy it. It's stupid to be like, I'm throwing all of this out, fuck Wizards. You've already dumped $500 into these books.
All the books, yeah.
Don't get rid of them. That's fucking stupid.
You've got the release edition of all of the new books, the Player's Handbook, DM Guide, and the Monster Manual. You bought the collector's set.
Yeah.
You've got the alt cover for the Strixhaven. You have the alternate cover for the... I don't want to say Traveler's Guide, but it's something to Barovia, for games set in that setting.
Yep.
Your money's gone. You're not getting it back.
Keep enjoying it
books,
if you enjoy it.
Play the game. People still play 3.5.
Yeah.
People still play 4E, even though I think that's objectively wrong to do.
Correct.
But if it brings you joy, keep doing it. I can understand canceling like a D&D Beyond subscription.
Absolutely.
Because that was purchased by Wizards of the Coast not too long ago.
Yep.
And it's no longer a fan-made resource. It's now a subscription-based resource that goes right to Wizards. So that's a good way to show sort of protest. I think they lost a lot of D&D Beyond subscriptions.
Thousands of them from what I saw.
Yeah. When they pulled that move with the announcement. So they have since walked it back. I don't know if that's deserving of praise though.
Yeah. Walking back,
their walk
an
back statement was sort of like,
decision.
We got this wrong. We still want to change our OGL, but
clearly not like this.
This is not the way. And it's like, okay. There's a disconnect between the community and Wizards of the Coast, and both D&D and Magic. So
yep,
just wanted to touch on that as we wrap up this episode of Bad Tutors.
Yep, coming out soon after this one will be kind of cursory look into the world of Bloodborne, which I absolutely lost my mind looking into, as it is now one of my favorite Soulsborne games, and we should have that coming out rather soon after this episode. But for now, I've been Ian.
I've been Tyler.
And this has been the Bad Tutors. Thank you for listening, and hope you have a great week, day, weekend, whenever you're listening, and hope you come back for the next one.
Take care, friends.